Oh, okay. Welcome to another edition of Amsterdam Talk. Before we get into it, we gotta run the intro. Let's run the intro, and then we're gonna get into what we're talking about tonight. Shoot, I can't. No, I can't work it off one hand. All right. Welcome to Amsterdam. Where did my screen go? Welcome to Amsterdam Talk today. This is a special show for me because personally, I don't get talked about as much as I should say, fellas. We don't. And we're talking about today. We're talking about single dads, and I actually wanted to have this show because the fact is the cliche of single moms. And I really don't think they get, sometimes the mothers don't get the word single mom. They don't get it correct, meaning it's like you might be single by status, but you have a person co-parenting in your life. But this is a different swing where we have single dads who have the custody of their children that raise their children. So I like to bring in, brother Mike and brother Warren. How are y'all today?
Good. Good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
I can
you.
hear
All
you.
right, all right. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Oh,
Yes,
it's good,
sir.
but it's good, brother. So how y'all feeling this evening?
Oh
I'm all
man,
right.
that's
I
great.
can't complain. It's a good subject.
Yeah, we got to get into it because I don't think you appreciate it as much as you should be appreciated because especially in our culture, normally what's the saying? Mama's baby, papa's maybe. That's the saying.
Yeah. I
And
heard that. I done heard women say that.
yeah, women say it all the time, or they say, my sperm donor, or blah, blah, blah. And some women celebrate, you know, certain situations different. We'll talk about that later. But at the end of the day, in our culture, they expect either you're there or you're not. But this is a different twist on it because you guys raise, I don't know how many children you have, you raise the children by yourself. So let's get into it. I'm gonna start with you, brother Mike. Do you have a boy or a girl?
I got a boy.
Okay, you raised your son, but how old is your son now?
He's 30.
He's 30. Okay, you raised your son all by yourself?
No, his mom. I live in High Point, and his mom's 30 minutes away in Greensboro. And as far as raising a child together, just himself, we did a very good job. Co-parent. I mean, I was the primary care, so he's with me. Uh,
Mhm.
and he visited, and she participated in everything, sports, schoolwork, whatever it needs to be. And but we never had incidents about. I don't think there was one time we ever talked about who was going to keep him this weekend versus that weekend. He pretty much decided, well, he wanted to be with his mom, but we had a regular routine. We stuck with it. But if he wanted to vary, we always adjusted.
Okay. What about you, brother Warren?
Oh no, can you hear me? I'm sorry, I was my first. Yeah, yeah,
I
I
can
did
hear
it.
you.
Well, me. Now I was by myself. He's 22. He's 22, but I was by myself. I did all of it. I did everything.
Mm. Oh, so you only have one child?
Well, I got him and I got a daughter, but she's 14, and
Okay.
she stayed with me as well. I mean, I don't really, I haven't really had the help. I mean, I've had the help. I've done it all. From when I named both of the kids. I was in
Okay.
the birthing room with both of the kids. When they came out.
Right.
So two different mothers, two different moms, and my son, he's still here now. I mean, he lives with me still. Yeah, we work together, and I don't even know if you can see me, but yeah, it was an adventure. I wouldn't change nothing. I wouldn't change nothing. It was different. It was different. I'm
Okay.
48 now, but I was about 24. So
Okay. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start like this. How did I'm gonna ask both of y'all the same thing. So Mike, how did you become primary care? Like, because I know some women is just like, no, I'm not through the legal systems, I'm not giving my child up. So how did you become the primary care parent?
Uh, well, first of all, we felt like we weren't getting along. He was about a year after he was born. We had been married about 7 years, and I just wasn't going to raise him in the same environment I lived in for 7 years. Uh, and so we decided to sell the house, and she went her way, I went mine. I was not going to fight over him, and but I did fight for joint custody because I hadn't done anything, and he went with her, and she realized how tough it was. The first 8 months, she called and asked me would I do it. I graciously accepted the opportunity, said you make the arrangements, and I will do it. And so he came with me when he was 2, and so did everything from that point on, which I was doing everything from day one anyway. Getting up in the middle of the night, changing the diapers, waking them up, getting them dressed for wherever. So totally involved the entire time. So basically, it was just a mutual agreement that, and her friends and people and family told her not to do it, and she just told them, look, that's the best place for him, with his dad, and so that's how it happened. There was no big fight about it, and we just kind of mutually agreed that that's where he should be. And I like Brother Warren said, man, look, I wouldn't trade it. The best part of my life, man.
Mm.
yeah.
Okay, so it came to agreement. What about you, Warren? How did yours occur for you getting primary custody of your son?
Well, my situation was different. I mean, it was no battles. You didn't want to, kind of didn't really want to do it. So,
Okay.
so I said I do it, and wasn't no court, no paperwork. Now, others chimed in and wanted paperwork stuff done, but between me and her, no, she had some other stuff going on, and I was more in a position to do it, and so I took it upon myself to do it, and that's pretty much how it went. I mean, there's a lot of extra stuff, but it was more or less street stuff that got in the way, so I had to take over, and that's just how it went. I wasn't gonna let I wouldn't have I didn't want anybody that's affiliated with me, my kids, to not have the same opportunities that I did, that I had. So.
Right. I definitely understand that. So basically, both of you, had your children at very young age, but not young ages of yourselves, but them and their lifespan being at young ages, being like toddlers and infants. So, with your daily routine of what you were doing, like what was your biggest adjustment that you had to make for your child?
I mean, I really, when I talk to people, I really don't feel like I had to make a big adjustment because, um, I mean, I wanted to do it. I never looked at it as a challenge or something like that or on an adjustment. It was just being a father, a single parent. And so you take it in stride, came up with a game plan. I was focused in the morning. I'm up at 6, I'm ready, shower, whatever. He's up at 7, breakfast is already ready. We at the bus stop, drop him off at the pull out the driveway, or go to the daycare, pull to the end of the driveway, bus come, I'm gone. And for 8 hours, my focus is work because hopefully that the daycare was taking care of me, or school was taking care of me. And then at 4:30, 5 o'clock, I turn it off. Uh, the probably only adjustment was realizing that promotions and trying to seek a career and all that kind of stuff. Uh, it wasn't a big challenge for me to not do that. I just had to, my focus was on raising my son, so it wasn't on my job. My job was something that took care of the bills, and so
Okay.
I never really looked at it as a challenge or something that uh, that caused some difficulty in my lifestyle or adjustment. I was already married, so you're already settled. I was already doing some things. So, the things that I guess the time I was spending when I was married kind of transferred over to my kid. But, at the time for me, I was older because I was 34 when he was born. So I was always into my 50s when he was in high school and college, and he also played 3 years in the NFL. So I'm almost 60 years old, watching him chase his dream. So it was it was fun. It was interesting. AAU and traveling nights and all that kind of stuff. It was just totally enjoyable.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
What about you, brother Warren?
Well, now I do have to say this. My mother, my mom played a big role as far as me being able to stay at the house.
Here come grandma. Grandma get to the rescue.
Now she worked 2 jobs. So, and she told me when I made this decision, I raised you and your brother. I'm done. If this is what you
Okay.
want to do, you're gonna have to do it. So I did. But as far as like finance, I could give her something, and I didn't have to be out here in the marketplace. Uh,
Right.
the big bills because you got daycare and
Mm-hmm.
the Pampers and the formulas uh, and everything that goes along with baby. The daycare helped me. Like my brother said, I never been around kids, so I never so like uh, the potty training and stuff. All that the daycare helped me. The people they helped me a lot too because I was known as my son's name is Noah. So nobody called me by my name. I was Noah's dad for four
Mm-hmm.
4 years. I was There's Noah's dad. I come in from whatever month that he was went to elementary. I was Noah's dad. I didn't. That was my name. They helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really, they the stuff I didn't know how to do. And the biggest adjustment is time. Uh, it's the time. You can't. I was younger than my other brother, so I had to stop. I had to sit down. I had to sit down. You got to sit down. Just had,
I
after
understand
you
that.
work, pick them up, and then they eat, they go to bed, and you sit down. Nobody, it's just me and him. So till the morning time. Then you do it again. Then you do it again. Then you do it again. So,
Yeah, that's
but
it,
it was
man.
nice. It's repetition with you. It's discipline. It made me better. I was already disciplined before, but it made me better. It sharpened the knife.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to get to because my dad used to tell me because he had me at a young age. He was like, "Yo, if kids don't make you grow up or change you, nothing ever will."
Yeah, I like
It
what
helped
Warren
me.
said. as far as never thought about it, but that's it. You got a routine. You come back day after the day, the same routine every day. You just come home, sit there, whatever, routine. Like I said, I was settled anyway, so it made it a lot easier.
Yeah, I was dating, so dating was different. When you date
Oh yeah,
and you got a baby, now I was getting a lot of attention. I ain't gonna lie.
oh
I
yeah,
was getting attention in grocery stores. I'm getting in the daycare. I'm the only man 20 plus years ago that's picking up kids constantly. So, I am making friends in the daycare, and the people are helping me. I ain't gonna lie. There was times I fall behind months. The bill pile up, and the lady would call me in the office with a director, and they would be like, "Look, we found a scholarship for you. We're gonna zero out the balance, Mr. Jones, and you'll know what's gonna happen." That happened to me more than once. That happened to me more than once, where they would zero out my balance after I fall behind. Like, and I have vouchers. I have vouchers too. Um, but still, I was working part time. I wasn't making a whole lot, but everybody saw I was trying, so they worked with me, and they helped me. And it wasn't like I hadn't had an educational background, but this was a little bit different, and it helped me out. I mean, everybody helped. People when they see you trying, they will help you. They will, people will help you.
yeah. They will.
Yeah.
They will really help you when you trying, and even at work, people knew that if they wanted to talk to me at break. We had a meeting. Talk to me at lunch or the afternoon break because they knew when the clock hit time to go. There was no even speaking to me or talking to me because I wouldn't because I knew I had to be at the daycare center. And I'm blessed that for those 4 years that he was in daycare center that I was never late because my job required me to work 30 to 32 Piedmont County. Sometimes at 3 o'clock, I'll be in Warrenton on a farm in the back of a field. And I said, get client, I gotta go. I leave, get in the car, 2.5 hour drive, pull up and do it all over again. Like the brother said, start it up and do it over again.
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
we got a new visit. We got a new person coming in right now. We had another guy coming, single dad. He raising his daughter, but unfortunately, he reached out to us tonight and said it's date night with his daughter, so he had to
Oh yeah.
decline. And that's a beautiful thing. It was date night for his daughter, so he's like, I can't come. I'm like, okay, it's cool. I understand. All right, what's up, brother Byron? How you doing out there?
Hey, what's going on, Rod? Doing pretty good. What's going on, fellas?
Hey,
Good to be on here. Good to see you guys. Good to represent with all the single dads.
Definitely.
Really happy that Rod put this forum together so we can have a voice out there and change the image that society has played. So it's a good thing.
So because I already talked to Mike and Warren about it. So how did your situation occur, Myron, with you becoming a single dad? What happened? Explain to us what was going on.
My situation was that I was with my daughter's mother for about 15 years, and then we broke up, separated, went our different ways. And my daughter was going kind of back and forth between us. We lived in the same town. So she would go back and forth between her and her mother. And then after her freshman year in high school, her mother was like, she's moving out of state. So, I was like, well, she's already here. She's established in school. She's, on the path of what she was doing. To be leaving in like your sophomore year, it wouldn't be a good thing. So she was like, well, so I asked her, I was like, you mind if she stays here? And she was like, cool. So she moved out of state. My daughter stayed with me full time. It was a lot of adjustments. It was a lot of adjustments. Because I'd gotten kind of used to balance in my life where, maybe for a week she'd be here, or for 4 or 5 days she'd be here, then she'd be gone for 4 or 5 days or whatever. So those 4 or 5 days that she was gone, I got a chance to do a lot of stuff. Now that's completely different because she's here full time. You know, she was into dance, so she would go to the dance studio at least 3, 4 times a week. So that was, you know, getting to school, getting back to school, getting to the dance studio, getting back from the dance studio. With the dance, they had recitals, they had dance competitions, they had, you know what I mean? It was a lot of stuff. So now all of that transportation, you know, was on me. So it was a big change. But you know, like the other brothers were saying, when it happens, you step up. You got to do it. You know, your child is there. Your child is counting on you. You don't want, you don't want the change that happened with the parents or whatever happened with the parents to affect the child. So you try to keep it the same as it always has been. So you try to make the changes you need to make so that, you know, in my case, my daughter didn't have to make a lot of changes.
Okay.
So
So I know Warren spoke on vouchers, and I know in the state of Maryland that brings apart formal court legal child support. So with anyone else, like, was there like informal, like did the mothers like send money, or did you have to go legally to say, hey, I need you to help me out, or you just did it on your own?
It's, I'm sure everyone is different, man, and not to be negative, but the transition from this happening to guys, women, sometimes don't, to me, don't play fairly in the game, because I said, as my son initially went with her, she initially wanted full custody and this large sum of money, and I just pretty much told my attorney, look, I ain't do nothing. He said, you ain't do nothing. He said, we're gonna fight for joint custody. We fought for joint custody. I got it. And so the money was cut in half, which was basically the only thing it paid for was daycare. But we agreed, well, I'll just pay for daycare or whatever. And so I was supposed to send some money and some help in all everything I agreed to do when he went with her. But when he came with me 8 months later, there was nothing. So I'm like, well, if I was supposed to do this while he was with you, why aren't you doing uh, what I was supposed to do? But I never asked a question. I never asked for a dime, didn't get anything, and I just didn't want the controversy. So I took all all the financial responsibility to myself, and didn't ask for anything, and moved on. And I said, let her conscience be her guide. And I guess she felt like that she contributed the way she contributed, and I moved on. But again, I was okay. I had a good job, and so I just sacrificed. But yeah, it's women think that you, I guess, still owe them something because you were married to them and they have your child, and now you're supposed to pay a large sum of money and move on. But that's not necessarily so these days. So yeah, it was tough sometimes financially, but you sacrifice.
Okay.
Definitely. I now the vouchers, they didn't touch her. I when I started, they didn't have nothing. They didn't make her pay nothing. There was no child support. I didn't get any checks. I didn't get food stamps. Just the voucher. They didn't touch her either. They didn't go after her or make her go to court. They made me go to court. He was they made me come into court when he was a couple months old. He was already staying with me. I had to go in the court and tell him he was living with me, bro. And she, that's how imbalanced it was. This is 20 plus. So he was, and he was. I had insurance, health insurance, and everything. On him, and I still had to go in there just to say it, just to show my face and say it to them. And then when I started doing taxes, I got audited a couple times because I did have a little business, and with him, I had to show proof that he was living with me, and a few times, and and I'm naming naming him. I'm in the room when he pops out. We go from the hospital to the house where I live. and I still had to do a few extra groups just to show them that I was, even though she was around for the first few months, and then once I really got the voucher, that's really when I didn't really need her anymore, and I kind of cut ties. Well, not cut ties, but she was doing different things, and it wasn't family related, and I couldn't manage both. I couldn't take care of the baby and manage her too, and I'm still, trying to figure out how I'm gonna get to some money, and there was a lot going on, and the families didn't agree with it. Nobody agreed with it. She had a big family. Everybody said I couldn't do it. They thought I was living the same lifestyle. So I had everybody cut me off. So I'm 24, 5. And he had an asthma attack 30 days after being birthed. So I'm in hospitals by myself. And my mom, I don't tell her nothing. She doesn't know about any of this stuff because she's working 2 jobs. And so, there's no need for me to tell her what's going on because she's paying the big bills, the mortgage on the house that her and my dad had bought. They split, but she's finishing it out. So, in order for me to have, place to stay, I give her. I don't let her know what's going on. It's complete madness going. But like right now, I'm in less stress now than I was as a youngster. But it put a chip on my shoulder that was as big as a log, and like it was, it made me, it made me better. I mean, like it was, I was doing once he came, I was already played ball and with the school, and once he came, it made me like really intense. So now I have a job. Like right now, I'm 24 years into my job. After I had already worked there 3 years previously, and then when he comes, I'm starting businesses on my own. Cleaning businesses because why I can't work 2 jobs because I had to keep them in daycares. But if I have a business, I can take them with me. At 2, I'm taking them. I got cleaning business. I'm taking them in the buildings with me. And it was an adventure. I mean, this is just a little bit of he's been with me the whole time, and I've never been married. So I never been married, no divorces, no passports, nothing. So as I'm dating and women are meeting a young man with a baby that's doing all this other stuff, and I go back to school again, it just it piles on. It's like a movie. It gets in me. It's pretty cool. It made it better. My son made it better. It made it better. I had a baby with me. I mean, he's here now. He's a grown man now, but I got a baby with me. I'm young. I got a baby with me. I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm like a celebrity in the neighborhood. But I did it because I want to make sure all the other brothers that come behind me, and there's a lot more young brothers that I do have around me, and to make sure that they're doing all they can to do to be the best that they can be. Because with my story, you can't come around me slacking. You're not gonna feel comfortable. You better do what you're supposed to do for your kids.
Right. What about you, Myron?
Well, for me, when we had split up, I had really been paying for. I wasn't giving her money directly, but I was paying for the stuff for my daughter. So like she was on my insurance, she needed clothes, whatever, I get the clothes, paid for her dance fees. I was paying for most of her stuff anyway. So then when my daughter came to live with me, I just kept doing it. it's kind of like it's peace of mind. I didn't want to have to try to go. I knew it was going to be a hassle. I knew it was going to be a fight to try to get some money and get the payment, and always have to be following up and doing this and doing that. And I was like, you know what? You know, for the most part, I was paying that stuff anyway. So just keep doing it. Keep my peace of mind. Don't have to get into any arguments. Don't have to get any expectations. Don't have to plan for something and then it fall through getting the money. Then now I got to figure out how I'm going to do. So if I just from the jump just said, you know what, I'm going to take care of it. And that was it. So I never really got any child support, never took her for child support. I just didn't even want to deal with that whole nonsense.
But I did get all the tax.
That was
I
where
got
I
all
was
the tax
too.
money.
I was that
I got
same
all the
thing.
tax money, dog.
I didn't want to deal with the money, asking for it every month. There's going to be a problem, every this and that. I didn't feel, I had enough challenges to deal with it because I knew she didn't want to pay a dime. And so I didn't request it. And it's kind of funny, every year, every other year we would file taxes. She would claim him one year, I would claim the other. I'm thinking, I'm raising him, I'm paying all the bills, paying all the clothes, buying all this, whatever. But you feel that you need to claim him every other year. That was like and I keep brother saying, you don't want to argue about it. So I'm like, you claiming him, knowing he's here. Most of the time, I'm doing everything. I'm paying all these other fees, but you claim him every other year. And I asked one year, could I claim him? No, I'm gonna lose money. But again,
I had that happen to me, and I did a paper return and got all that money. I didn't play them games. I didn't play none of that stuff. Somebody claimed them. They did it back years. I did a paper return, put them back to back. I got all that money back. I didn't play that stuff. I didn't bend. I didn't fold. If I'm gonna do all of it, I'm gonna get all the money. I want it all. I mean, because I need it. So
look, that was a question I was going to ask y'all about, like the tax situation. But y'all can keep talking because y'all explained it probably me asking.
But see, the deal was, Warren, is that it was in our agreement that I was to pay everything, and she was going to have primary custody. But when he came with me, all what I was doing didn't come with me either. Because again, I thought she was going to do what I was going to do because I was supposed to pay for this, this, and this when he was with her. Now, when he comes with me, I'm still paying for it. I'm like, okay, you're not going to contribute, even though I was supposed to contribute when he was with you. So again, like the brother said, man, it wasn't worth the argument with me because I knew that I didn't want to plan on her every month to decide whether she's going to send money or not. So it was in my mind, if you send something, it's extra. But no, it was not going to be in my budget. In my mind, it was just too stressful.
Well, I told you I got out of it. So after me going through that and putting paperwork together and going down to the King Codes of UPS store now and faxing stuff off to the IRS and things of that nature. Once I got, and I'm like in my 20s now, not now. Once I did that, after I did that and it worked out, so when something happened later on, I already knew what to do. I just went through the same process, and I still got it. All you gotta do is just show. I had school records and all that kind of stuff, medical records. I faxed all my stuff in, and it took me. One time I let 3 years pile up because they kept doing it. I let 3 years pile up, and then I did it. And then I got 3 years at one time, and I'm staying with my mother, and I got a couple incomes coming in, and I can't remember how old he was at the time, but all I can say is by me being my experience as single dad, said it put it made me eat like the mothers eat. I've been able to eat like the mamas eat as far as this time of the year right here.
You was eating crab legs?
No. I didn't eat crab legs. I ate at McDonald's, but I had money in the bank in case I wanted to eat crab legs. I just needed, because I still had to take care of him and the daughter. The daughter was, I've done both, and
Well, I want to speak about. I want to speak about that though. I want to speak about that though. Especially, I'm gonna speak to you about that. Boys and girls are different raising. So Myron, coming straight to you with a teenage daughter with attitude, periods, and the number one factor, boys. How did you deal with all of that?
Man, let me tell you, it's something else. Because when my daughter first came with me, she was 14. So, that's right in the heart of when all that's going down. But one of the things that really helped me, like I said, my daughter was in dance. So, she had been in the same studio at that time for like maybe 5 years at the time. So like a lot of the studio families are real tight because the girls are with each other most of the week. So the families, we're around each other. We go to competitions, we go to recitals or whatever. So some of those dance moms that were there, they really came out and helped with a lot of the stuff, like the whole, you know, feminine, whatever, upkeep and this and that and whatever. Listen, there was no way I was going to be able to. I mean, I guess if I had to do it, I could have done it, but that's all different to me. So a lot of, they really helped her out with, what to get in the best and this and that. One of the dance moms, even when she was going to like her prom, she took her to go prom dress shopping. Because I went with her one time, the first time, and it just, after like an hour in the store, I was done. I was through. She was trying this, she was trying that, how this looked, how that looked. And I'm like, I thought we was gonna run up in here, 15 minutes, grab a dress and be out. And here I am like an hour and a half later, and we trying this and we trying that, and we left without getting one. And she was like, yeah, so I heard that this place and this place and this place got dresses too. And I was like, 3 more places, hour and a half each, whatever. I was just like, so one of the dance moms came over to me. She was like, it's all right, it's all right. She's like, my daughter's gonna be doing it too. So what I'll do is I'll just take both of them and we'll go shopping for it. Man, let me tell you, that's like you saved me from like a firing squad. Because I'm telling you, that hour and a half, I was crazy. It drove me nuts. It drove me nuts. Dealing with boys, like like she knew from like she was younger that it wasn't going to be any foolishness coming up in there. She knew it wasn't from real young. She knew if her friends over, because when she was younger, you had friends that were, little boys came over to the house and chill. We had cookouts and whatnot and whatever.
In the living
But she
room
just knew
with the door open, right?
right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? She knew the rules were set up from the jump growing up. So when she got to the teen years, it really wasn't a big issue. Like she came around with friends and stuff like that, but like she knew and she warned them like, yo, you come with the BS, you getting thrown out the window. Or, it's not gonna be. So she let it be known to even the friends that did come around or whatever, like the foolishness is not gonna fly. So I never really had a huge problem with that. Because she was
daughter's
always
14 right now, so she's 14.
Yeah, see, that's when it started for me at 14, and it got, you know what I mean? It was still dicey, but I mean, it wasn't crazy because, she really knew, that a lot of that stuff wasn't going to happen, and it wasn't going to play out right. So, she brought, there were some that came around, but they were cool. They, whatever, real respectful and all that and whatnot. So I never really had that problem. So that was, I mean, I was blessed for that, because I know some of my friends with their daughters and what they had to go through and the issues that they had to deal with, and, some of them
Okay,
turning
okay.
into grandfathers real quick.
Let me say this. I don't want to interrupt. I got a son right now. So I'll be honest. See, I was able to have company overnight once I got like senior high school. And I kind of let him, I can't let her do what I let him do.
But see, Warren, that's the double standard in life right there. That's the double standard. And that's what I was getting ready to come to you and Mike about. You know, the double standard mentality, whereas though us as men will allow our sons, and you can cuss on this show, to get a little ass in the basement. But you won't allow your daughter to get a little bit of whatever in the basement. So that's the double standard mentality we go through.
Well, I was a little different in that I'm 64, and so I'm a little old school. You know, no one ever spent the night here while my son was growing up. You know, that just didn't happen. When he got older and me and that and he started dating, you know, he had a time he had to be home. If someone came over to visiting, even when he was in college, they had to go home. And that was just my rule. They didn't spend the night. Now, you know, if I'm out of town, something like that, I'm sure he was doing his thing because one of my neighbors came by and I'm like, you know, it's none of your business really. But he said, well, I think Tony has a girl over all night last night. I was like, man, I've been gone. I was on vacation for 2 weeks. He was home from college. Look, okay, I got it. And I just left it alone. I didn't go back to my son and ask him what was going on because again, you know, it wasn't going to change anything. But again, I didn't allow it. He had to do it when I wasn't around. But again, if I suspected something, I didn't question. But and even, you know, even when he, you know, graduated from college, like, your girlfriend come over, but you got to go, and which is his wife now, and until they got married, no, they couldn't. They couldn't stay here, and he's never seen anyone, you know, get up out of my bed in the morning. And it's just, I don't say it's anything wrong with it, and what other people do, whatever. Again, it's just that was just my choice. But now, the other thing with him too is because I had to remind him a few times, look, I'm not your boy. Because he would say, well, Dad, it's just you and I here. No, you're my son, I'm your dad, and we're gonna maintain that relationship. We ain't hanging out together. And I made sure that we, you know, we have fun, we play ball together, we pick up whatever, we wrestle, whatever. But there was always that dad-son relationship.
What about now?
Now, oh yeah, now I was funny that you asked. You know, apparently, and like, you know, even because of me, I never drank with my son. If it was just me and him home, just me personally, I wouldn't drink anything, not a beer or whatever. And when he left, I had my drink, I did my whatever. But when it was just he and I didn't. And so he came home one day. I think his wife had put him up to it. He said, Dad, let's go get a beer. I was like, man, look, we ain't never drank a beer together. You ain't never really seen me drinking like that. And I said, okay, we went, I got a beer. And he after about a couple hours of hanging at the beer, he like, let's go. And we and it was just done. But, you know, we always maintained a father-son relationship. Even today we have that, but we're closer. We talk about things now, just like men talk about it and joke around. But, you know, he and I, you know, we have an excellent relationship.
All right. What about you, Warren?
Oh, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I literally, I had now. See, Mike, our brother, he was married or came out of a marriage or whatever. So by me not never being married, he's seen everything. He's seen a lot, and I didn't really sanitize my style. I didn't do it now. I mean, I want, you know, I always let him know. I mean, I didn't. He's seen a lot. Seen how I was
You
living.
can say what you gotta say, brother. Nobody's here to judge you because there's no book on this shit.
Yeah. He might see 3 people come in and out the door in a day, and I mean, I'm not trying to put me up on something, but I mean, I was. I mean,
Well,
I
you
was.
said you were a kid. You said you were a kid when you had him. So
Yeah. But still, even as I got older, I didn't really like. Um, I mean, I kept dating. I mean, I still haven't really. Uh, like, okay, I say this. I'm gonna say this. So people come up to me to ask me, bro, when you gonna settle down? So I'm like, so how can I raise kids and not be settled? I mean, I have to be married. I gotta have a woman beside me to be settled. Like I have somebody laying with the same person in the bed with me every day, moving around and be settled. To me, if you are the routine of raising children alone makes you settled. You can't if you're gonna do it right. If you want to do it right, now if you want grandma to raise them and aunts to raise them, then fine. But if you want to do it, you gotta be settled. To me, the little people make you more settled than the grown ups. Because
mhm,
they didn't ask to be here, and they're always looking at you.
right.
I mean, they need to be nurtured and stuff, and they're looking. They're not gonna ask no questions, but you can look in their eyes and see that you gotta get up every day. And then let's say you don't do what you're supposed to do now. You guys in shelters or something. You,
Yeah, the Warren situation is different from mine too,
yes, yes,
uh,
yes.
in that my son was gone 2 out of 3 weekends because that's the way we agreed. So he would be at me weekend, his mom 2 weekends. So I had a lot of extra time to plan and do and date and have a good time. And then we switched holidays and stuff. So I had time now. What would have happened if I'd have had him 24/7, 7 days like him? Things probably would have been a little bit different.
So
Definitely.
that's what I want to step into. Like, so in the dating aspect, you have, Myron, you have your daughter, and Mike and Warren, you have your sons. And when you begin dating these women, like, how did they handle being second priority?
Oh my
They
goodness.
they didn't handle it pretty well because most women I lost early on because my son was young. Most of them felt like they wanted to come into the relationship and take over and raise him. And I made sure, no, this is my son and I'm raising him. You're not raising him. And then the other thing they would say is why are they that he needs to be with his mom, not you, because they wanted their time. If you ever told me and it came out of your mouth that you said he needs to be with his mom, we didn't see each other again because
Mm,
again, that's not your decision. Your
right.
your your relationship and my relationship is separate between his mom, me, and what we're doing now. If we get serious, then I can bring you into that. But if you do that
Hmm.
initially, no, I kept that separate and made sure that they understood. Right now, I'm dating you, not my son.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
For me, like Warren was saying in the beginning, when my daughter was with with her mom, like half the time, I could plan around that. So she never really saw anything. But then when she came with me full time, then you know what I mean. There was no choice. Then she's here. There was
Right.
no going away. It was 24/7. She was here. It was all her activities and stuff like that. So you know, dating me, it was part of the package now.
Hmm.
Now I had to be. Now, she has to be. Thankfully, she was, at that point, she was old enough where she could be home alone for, hours at a time. It wasn't like, I could go out and come back at midnight. I could go out and, go out and date and whatever and be back at night. Because pretty much as long as I was back for the morning to take her to school and whatever, she was good. She could take care of herself, order some food or pick up some food and have it, whatever. But she knew that I was going out. She knew that I was dating. She would see the people, the women sometimes as I went on date or we do things because again, it's part of the package. So the times that we all can go out, then we all gonna go out because she's here.
Right.
This is my daughter. If you date me, one, you have to meet my child in order for us to be serious. You know what I mean? We
Right.
can date and
Right.
kick it and do whatever we doing. But if you're gonna be serious with me, you have to meet my child. You have to get along with my child. I have to see that there is some kind of rapport going on. There has to be some
Hmm.
kind of, y'all can get along because if you can't get along with my child, then there's no future. It's not gonna happen. And and my daughter was cool enough to be where she wasn't, because I've seen some places where like the children get really like malicious and they get shady and they do all kind of crazy things. You know what I mean? But thankfully, my daughter never really did that. So she got along with people. So, she got along. I mean, there were times where like she saw stuff that I didn't plan on. Like I'd be, sometimes I'd work from home. And so I'd be there kicking it at home. She'd get out of, like, they canceled dance class one day. So she'd come home early. And it's like, oh, you home early. And she's like, oh, you here kicking it. And I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, it was some situations like that, but, and some people had a problem with it. Some people, like Michael was saying, some people felt like, I guess they were used to, even when they were dealing with single dads, they were used to having that weekend where the child went away. But that weekend wasn't there. So they were like, well, why is she with you all the time? Why can't you send her? I'm like, her mom is out of state. But I mean, if she's in school now, her mom's out, I'm not sending her for a weekend or whatever. If her mom wants to take her or whatever, that's fine. But I'm here, she's here. So, I try to make time, but you got to understand that my schedule is limited. There's going to be some things that I can't control. And you just got to get in where you fit in. And for some people that was an issue. For some people it was cool. So, but yeah, there were times where it was just, you could see like the resentment building up. And then when you started channeling that resentment at my daughter, nah.
Oh.
You know what I mean? You can't, like, I understand it can be frustrating because yeah, I date women that have kids too. So sometimes I might be like, yo, there's this concert going on, and she'd be like, nah, that's my weekend and I can't do it. And I'd be like, oh, all right, cool. You know what I mean? I understand what it is, but you can't get mad, and especially get mad and point that at the child because something you wanted or some plan you had went bad because something came up with the child. You can't do that. So that was something that was, see that come up. You gotta let that go right away.
I mean, that's that double theta stuff. I mean, so I had kids, they were with me, like they like, okay, so like at 4 and 5, they say anything. So let's say I got somebody with me. We ride down the street. He's in the back seat. So, at that age, he all of a sudden you want to start talking about his mama. I mean, mama said that. I'm like, oh, I'm looking in the rear view. I'm like, I ain't this lady I'm dating. I'm dating this lady. So, they don't want to hear about the mama. All of a sudden, this dude starts talking about his mama. I'm like, man, you ain't talking about your mama all week. So I'm like, oh, mama said that yeah. So I mean, it was. Then you got to get questioned about what a 4-year-old's talking about later on. What do you mean his mama said? You still seeing his mama? I'm like, hey, I ain't seen his mama in a month. I don't know why he's saying this right now. I mean, so you're explaining things. You're under the gun for like things that we wouldn't do if we're dating. We would let that stuff brush. Me, I'm getting grilled for what somebody that's little. Maybe he does miss his mama. He sees me dating, and he might be missing his mother, and so he chooses to speak about her. But now I'm getting grilled about what a little 4 or 5-year-old is saying and things of that nature. I've had relationships end over that kind of stuff. Because I had them with me like all the time. And unless my mama would watch them.
They say kids don't lie.
Well, So I had to make. You're right. You're right about that. So I mean, even with that, sometimes I would speak real clear to either the daughter or my son about this. Don't need to be repeated. What you're saying, Dad, do right now. I mean, I've been very honest upfront about me being. I might be party. I might have some people around me, I've gone in and when my daughter was with me, I've gone in and talked to her and said, look, you don't want this ain't something, these people right here, this is not who you want to be. This is what dad's doing right now because dad's entertainment stuff, man. That got nothing to do, what I mean? You don't want to do this. I mean, you're not this people right here, but I'm about to go out here and I'm having fun right now, but this ain't you. And I talk to my kid. I've always been very honest up front. I never really sanitized my life. I never changed. Now I tell my kids to talk like I talk. I don't talk filthy. I don't use N words and all that. But music and stuff that I listen to might be kind of rough. I let them know it's entertainment. I talk to them very clear. At 3, I'm telling them there ain't no Santa Claus. There ain't none of that stuff. There ain't nobody's leaving no money under no pillow. All this stuff is fake. I mean, we gotta keep the lights on. I was really upfront from when as soon as they asked the day you ask me for something, the day I start talking about money. I don't wait till you're a teenager. If you 3 and you ask for something in the store, I'm asking you, do you got some money? No, you ain't got no money. You ain't got no money. So then we start talking about how you make money and how you keep money in your pocket and what's real, not the fake stuff. Because I'm struggling myself, and so even now, my kids never have asked me for Jordans. They never asked me for nothing that on over the top, because when they was little, I let them know off gate that none of this stuff was easy. I gave them everything I could give them, and they're very comfortable. But
So that's one of the issues. One of the issues I have with finances is you dating someone, they have kids, you have kids, but you go out on a date and you're supposed to you're supposed to pay for it all because that's what men do. But and a lot of times women don't understand that because they know where they are. And so to me, it's like if both of us have good jobs, both of us doing this, yes, I'll pay for it. But sometimes I'm like, shouldn't you think about paying for it? Shouldn't you help me out? Because again, we both have the same responsibilities, but it doesn't come up that way most of the time. Very seldom does it come up that way.
I'll make it like that. I'm gonna bring it up. I'm not gonna shy away from it.
Right.
Yep.
Because I got somebody right here. You see them.
And that's one thing I would not do. I don't take away from my son anything like that for dating or anything else. I made sure that he had what he wanted, and then I make sure that they were taken care of. But it was kind of ironic that even now you see on a lot of these sites, women say men ought to be we ought to pay. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, but you got to understand most guys out here now have a child, or have a family, have a household responsibilities, and all this, the same kind of debt that you have. And and you still want equal pay, you want equal things, everything else, but you want your car door open and you want this happening. But again, it's kind of ironic how certain things have changed, but then other things kind of stay the same.
Yeah, it's true. But I'm gonna open the floor up to the fans, the viewers that's watching. They got some questions for y'all. So anybody can take the question because they didn't specify who the question went to. They wanted to know what kind of relationships do the kids have with their mothers now? Anybody can take it.
Oh, my son, again, you would not believe how far apart he and his mother and I are as far as a relationship between she and I. We can barely talk to each other. But when it comes to him, you will not find 2 people that work so hard together to raise a child. And I give her all the kudos in the world that she was there for him every game, every PTA meet, every whatever, again, in the entire time, there was never a discussion about who was to keep him. One day he got sick, and I called her, and I always called her, and she called me. He's sick. I'm taking him to the doctors. I'll be there. So both of us sit up in the take off and sit in the doctor's office. We work together. We were leaving. He looked at me and looked out the window. I said, "You want to be with your mom?" He said, "Yeah." I called her on the phone and said, "Look, he wants to be with you, not me, because he was sick. He didn't want to be with his dad. He wanted to be with his mom." So she took off, and And I admire all that from her, that, that she did not let her job, her career, or people or guys that she was dating interfere with the relationship she had with him. And again, and we all the thing we had to do was call and say, look, I got a meeting this weekend. I can't keep him. And that was it. There was no discussion, never.
Okay. Anybody else want to touch on that?
Yeah. I mean, for me, my daughter and her mother, they have a good relationship, because my main problem with my ex, or the main problem we had together, was financial and finances and handling money. And, so we never really, we don't really have a lot of beef. We don't really have a lot of arguments, except for money. So if we take the whole money situation out of it, then we cool, we cordial, we can talk, we can whatever. So once we split up and we didn't have to depend on each other financially anymore, we cool. So, in terms of her, motherly duties or whatever, she took care of, when she was in the state here and my daughter was over there, she took care of her. She was there for her. They talk about things, they do things, they have their own little thing. So, and I never badmouthed her mother or anything like that. So, she never really saw the shortcomings per se, because it was, like I said, it was mainly financial. So their relationship is really good. I mean, she understands now, some of the things, like now, she went off, she's in college now. So, some of the things she was like, yeah, well, she was expecting that to come from her mom and it's not coming. Then now she's kind of seeing some of the things, because now the money affects her. Now the money is to her. You know what I mean? Before, all the money, was taken care of. She never had to see the bills. She never had to see the expenses. But now she's seeing it. But I mean, they still have a great relationship, and I'm good with that. I would never want her to not be close to her mom. And like I said, in everything else, her mom always, she's always there for her, emotional support, all of that, everything else. So, they have a really good relationship.
Got you. So somebody said, I'm asking this, coming straight to you, Warren. I think this is directed to you. Initially, did you feel like you needed to find a wife to help you, or did you feel some resentment because of the mother and preferred to be single?
Man. So, I probably prefer to be single, because this is what got me. So I get off work. Mama got a list of things. She's little, and I'm like, no, I mean, now I'm not knocking moms. Everybody need their mom. I got mine. He got his. I never badmouthed her to him ever. But I would see long lists of items that I felt like wasn't needed. So once things did split up and it was just totally me, I could cut the list in half. I know it was about, it was finances. So once I got control and had an understanding of, about spending of the money and picking them up, got the routine down. Once I really got tight with the routine, I felt like I didn't really need the mom. I mean, because he got the mom, he got 5 aunts, 2 grandmas, it's a lot of women in the family. So, and all the holidays, he would go with either my brother or the aunt, grandma's. I hardly spent any holidays with him for the first 15 years. I would always make sure he was with his cousins, his grandmas, his aunts, his uncles. He knew everybody. And then, when it wasn't the holidays, I would send him there. He lived with me. So I just got used to being in control without all the extra negotiations, and the talking. And, we still good now. I talked to her yesterday. I talked to both of them. We friends. Everything's good. But, I'm they say I'm a control freak, but I learned how to be in control because I didn't have a choice. I really didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. I had to learn. I had to learn how to take over. Either I was going to do it, somebody else was going to do it for me. Put me on chat. They would ask me for like 5, 6, 7 years, could they raise, you know, for a year in, a year out, month in, a month out. And you know, I would say no. One year I did let them because I got sick and I was in the hospital about a month. But um, I just like especially my boy, it was my son, and I felt like I knew what was best for him. I had good friends, I had good family, and I wanted to see if I could do it. Be honest with you, I really wanted to see could I do it. Once the mother, I wanted the family, but once the mom decided she, you know, wasn't really interested in being in a family unit, rather than try to bring in somebody that's not his mother, because nobody loves you like your mom. Nobody's gonna love you like your mama. I can't. Nobody's gonna love you like your mom. So rather than me trying to force something, uh, because I did have relationships, and if they make a comment, you make a comment, I can't. No, can't make comments about me. Yeah, I can't make comments about your kid. You go to a woman's house and make a comment, they don't put you out. And so I
Well,
was the same way.
that's true.
Go to a woman's house that got kids and say, "Hey, Junior, he talked too loud." Oh, next thing you know, you gotta go. You're gonna have to leave. So I took the same. I was the same way. I'm dating. I didn't. He's little. They come over. They slip. He's gone. I didn't play them
Mm,
games even when I was little because they didn't play it because I knew that it made it easier.
right,
It just made it easier, you know. So
right. We got another question for all three of y'all. Did taking care of your kids get in the way of you finding a wife?
Yes,
Anybody can answer.
I'm sure it did because again, I meet people and the first thing most of them would say, "Well, why is he with you?" And then I said, "Tell him this. Well, he needs to be with his mom." And so, and you don't have all the time, you know, uh, to date properly, whatever. And with all the things that happen to kids in relationships, you know, I made sure that the people I was dating, did not meet him until I was comfortable with them. And so anything that added to the challenge of relationship made it difficult because I've been single now uh, uh, since 90. I'm divorced his mom in 92. And so, I've been single a long time. And yeah, it'd be nice to be in a relationship, but again, it's challenging that, to in a good situation, but then when a child is involved, it makes it more difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
uh,
Myra?
I'll say this. Um, Having a child definitely cost me some relationships. That's unquestioned. But if I really think about it, most of those people, most of those relationships that it cost me, I wouldn't want that person as a wife.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But there were some that had really good potential. And what it was is they wanted to have their own family. They didn't
Right.
want to, you know what I mean? They wanted their first child to be us.
Right.
Um, so I think maybe in that sense, maybe a couple of those or one of those, whatever, could have been a potential wife that would have been good. But really and truly, I don't think it cost me anybody that was really, really like wifey material. So I would say no, it didn't. It hasn't stopped me from finding a wife, even though it has definitely cost me some relationships.
Okay. What about you, Warren?
it cost me my last relationship 4 years ago. My son,
Mm.
I don't want to put his stuff like that. So
You don't have to put his stuff. You don't have to. You don't
no,
have
I'm
to.
not.
Though.
I'm not. He's here. He's here actually. He know. I done told him this stuff already. He comes. He goes. He gets out of high school. So he leaves for the summer. Me and her. Then he goes to college. Me and her. So now all of a sudden things ain't working out as school. It comes back to the house. Next thing you
What?
know, I'm getting. Next thing you know, him, the lady I'm dating, he don't really necessarily. He's big, he's 18 now, so they, when they that age, they look different. Next thing you know, I'm getting texts about my son, some ugly stuff, some ugly things. He's saying some ugly things, and somebody I've known for a very long. I knew her for a long time. We got kids the same age, actually, and that ended it. Once I come home, once I get to the house, uh, I explode. You can't say those things, but the thing was, she wanted me for herself. She thought it was gone. I thought it was gone.
Yeah, it's what it seems like is the guys that are not dedicated to their own kids do pretty well in relationships with people. I mean, I see a lot of guys, but they're not taking care of their kids, their own kids, but they'll take care of her kids, uh, and it seems to work better that way. But
Let's ask backwards, Mike. Let's ask backwards.
these two guys that you're talking to that's on here, they're dedicated to their kids. That's probably why they are still separated. Now, if they gave up their kids and started spending time with her kids and kind of and like they'd probably be married by now and doing their thing, but they wouldn't be happy. And I know definitely I wouldn't be happy.
You don't get no blessings like that.
True.
I mean, I understand, but look at those guys that are doing well in a relationship. They don't have much of a relationship with their own kids.
Right?
But they not happy though. Now if I take them guys to the side, bring them to my house, and we sitting around, they ain't happy. They not happy because they ain't even got no. I mean, what guy is really a man that ain't got no relationship with your blood, dog? That don't work. Where does that work at? That doesn't work, man.
It doesn't, but actually, when you look at it,
no relationship, not over no relationship.
Well, but when you look at it as two, gentlemen, is that like you just said, Mike, they want relationships with their children, but they don't want you to deal with your children. But I believe the good book says in Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go, even when he is old, he will not depart from it. So basically, what I get from that is like, you have to take care of your responsibility. You can't go this route just to make her happy. Why can't we do this all together? I got my children, you got your children. We are in this together, being a family, instead of me making me pick or choose. You can't make me pick or choose. I can't pick over thy loin. I can't.
Well, I call it cowardness. They're worried about, I think some guys are worried about that. The lady, the mouth, what she's gonna say, the mother that comes with the child that you had the kid with, and you got to stand your ground. You have to stand your ground because at the end of the day, they're gonna respect you. The women you date and the women that they're gonna respect you, even if it splits up the relationship. At least they know you stood your ground and drew a line in the sand. Where the guy that is willing to put his kids to the side as a single man, and they bash. They bash guys like that. Guys that put kids to the side, when I'm dating women and stuff, or I'm friends with women and guys that really like they can push to the side or cut the line family, they'll come around, they'll be like, yo, they'll talk about him like a dog. He don't know they're talking about him like a dog, but to another man that got a kid, they'll bash him, they'll talk about him like a dog, they'll throw him under the bus, they'll go back home to him. But to me, when they come around me, and I've had my kids around me, I've had my kids and other kids, I've had a whole bunch of kids around me. I've raised a whole lot of kids. They'll throw them under the bus, they'll bash them, they'll do whatever. And they won't be the person that you think they are when they go home. Because I'm telling you, they don't think you're a man. I mean, I just know. I hear it all the time.
Well, I got you. I got you. Because go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
I didn't mention. I did get married, and it was only lasted a year. And it was all. She had 2 kids, and I had 1, and it was all about her kids, and that's why we didn't. We agreed. Look, yeah, you got to go because it's all about your child, your kids. your ex and all this, and my son is being second to this, so this ain't gonna work. And so we separated.
You gotta treat them as equal. But I know we done ran over time, but I got 2 questions I need to ask y'all really quick. Well, three, because I'm gonna push 3 in here. So each one, keep it short and sweet. First, I want to know, what was your scariest moment being a single dad?
Scariest moment is because it was my son was not feeling well one evening, and my mom, I'm living in Greensboro or High Point, and she lives near Fayetteville. So I called my mom and said, look, I need to bring Tony. He's not feeling well. Took him down to my mom's house, dropped him off. I wasn't 20 miles away before she decided she needed to carry him to the emergency room. Found out he has a tonsillitis. And that whole thing scared to death, because me being a guy, never thinking about being a father, I never thought about those things. It was obvious to my mom. And it may have been obvious to a lady, if you'd been married, that he actually could have died from that. So that was thing that really causes a lot of stress for me was not being able to recognize some of the things that I wasn't prepared to recognize and know as a father.
Okay. As you saved them, good getting grandma involved. Grandma knows best. What about you, Warren? What is the scariest moment? What was your scariest moment being a single dad?
I guess it would be illness. I had 1,000 scary moments. I think it was 1,000 different things, but probably he had hold on, maybe pneumonia. He caught pneumonia. He was a baby and going up sick. And I was by myself. Nobody was. So I took him to the hospital, and we in there 8, 9 hours. And that was scary. Another getting left at daycare once. His mom left. Anyway, I have 1,000 scary moments, but that was one of them. The pneumonia, getting sick. That was scary.
Got you. What about you, Myra?
I mean, I guess the scariest moment, the single dad part of it, was again dealing with that prom, because, you know, her mom had actually said she was going to come up and deal with all of the stuff for her prom, and then she said something happened and she couldn't make it up. So I had to be, getting dressed and doing all that, and then just thinking about the prom overall, like, it really sinks in when you think about what you did back at your prom, and then now looking and seeing like your daughters going to the prom, and just trying to put those two things, look at those two things. You just like, yo, if she with some knucklehead like I was back in the day on my prom night, and what I was getting into and trying to get into, I was just like, yo.
You was tossing and turning, what, until she got home?
Oh, man, let me tell you, I was sweating bullets that whole evening. Like, yo, just let her come home, let her be all right, let her not, try no story like, oh, this happened, we got a flat tire, so I'm gonna be real late when she really off somewhere, whatever. I'm just like, yo, it was nerve-wracking.
Got you. What about you, Mike?
Me, my scariest moment.
No, you already went. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, so okay, we got 2 more questions. Keep it short and sweet because we already ran over. What is your proudest moment about being a single dad? You can go, Mike.
Man, look, I can't name the number of things that my son has done, because my son was an academic scholar, finished like 3rd in his high school, man. He finished number 1. He played football for Appalachian, finished number 1 in his classroom in architecture, engineering, and design while playing football. Probably the proudest moment, he was one of 16 kids to receive the National Football Foundation Scholar Athletes of the Year. Out of all the football players in the nation, the 16 received it, and he was one of those. And then he had an opportunity to get drafted and play in the NFL for 3 years. So, I mean, I can tell people this right now. I can tell y'all guys this. We've had our moments in his 30 years, and that's it. I've never had one bad day with this young man. So my whole proudest moment is just his entire life to see where he is right now. And actually, if y'all kept up with Coastal Carolina, he is the wide receiver coach at Coastal Carolina that went 11-0 before losing in the bowl game. Finished, they were ranked number 14 this year nationally. So I can't say enough about this young man. I'm proud to just know him, not as a son necessarily, but just as a person. He has caused me to be a different person himself. And I think Warren mentioned that too. You know, he caused me to be the man I am today.
Okay. What about you, Warren? What's your proudest moment being a single dad?
Wow, like Mike said earlier, I got quite a few. I mean, we work together now. He's out there with me now. Then he's out almost 3 years. Just who he turned out to be, very respectful. The compliments. Actually, I get a lot of compliments, from others. I get a lot of compliments about his demeanor, how he speaks, carries himself very well. I would have him come in, he's sweet, but he conducts himself very well. When we're out, and I introduce, he'll come in with hands, shaking hands. The things that I taught him, he's doing it. I can either him and the daughter. I can have people come over here, and I don't even got to say nothing. They will conduct conversations themselves in a very respectful and clear manner. And those things, when I get the compliments, those everything. I love being a parent.
I got you. What about you, Myra? What's your proudest moment?
I think it's the same as Warren. There's a lot of proud moments, but most of the proudest ones has been where somebody has come and say, your daughter really stands out, from something. Like she's in college now. Matter of fact, one of my proudest moments is going to be in a couple months when she graduates from college.
Oh, congratulations.
But about a year ago, thank you. About a year ago, I went down to they had a parents' weekend at her school. And the head of her department, while we were walking around on campus, the head of the department saw her and saw me and kind of figured it out. And he made it a point to come over, and he was just like, I really wanted to meet you because I want to let you know, all the great things that your daughter is doing, and, how she's, he's heard from the different professors in the department, how great of a person she is. And that. And I was just like, for the head of a department at a college, especially a PWI college, to really seek you out, to let you know that, that to me really said something. And that, that just made me feel like, we did the job, because I'm not taking the credit. Me and her mother and our family and our dance studio and whatever, we did the right job in raising her. And that's what I'm most proud of.
So last question. Go ahead.
One time, me and him at McDonald's, right? Me and my son were at McDonald's. Older lady comes up to us and said, I feel so good that his pants ain't sag. Yeah. And you don't do the sag. His ass ain't out. His pants is up. You know what I mean? Just small things like that. People watch it. People see. You know what I mean? And things like that. That kind of stuff. It means a lot, because there's other young men out here that they need to pull their pants up too. They ask to be out but those kinds of things. He's young. He's not sagging like that. And that might not be a big thing, but that is that could, when somebody comes up to you at McDonald's and says that, that's an older generation. That meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to him. I think he might have told me to pull my pants up one time. So that's I'm done.
Okay, so now this is the final question tonight. So there's young brothers out there that's probably going through the same situation that you went through, being 20, 21, 19, 22. What would you tell them? What would you tell them? What type of advice would you give them? about being a single dad that's going through the same things that you went through, that now? What would you be able to reflect on to tell the youth 2021? Anybody can speak out first.
I've been going through that. Go ahead, Myron.
I would say the biggest thing I would tell anybody is use the resources that you have. You know what I mean? Whether that be friends, that be family. In my case, it was, my daughter's dance studio. A lot of the parents there really, really helped out, because there were times where I couldn't pick her up. They picked her up, brought her home. They would, if they're taking their kid out to the movies, they take her with them. Use the resources that you have, because there are family, there are friends, there are, whatever organizations that you're a part of, people will help out. And the other thing I'd say is, it's tough. There's going to be times where, you're not sure whether it's money or whatever. There's going to be times it's going to be real tough. But if you stick to it and if you really go through it, it will all be worth it when you see, what your child has become because of you. It's worth it.
Right. And anybody can speak.
I say, me personally, one of the big things I say is to, regardless of how rough it gets, how ugly it can get, the dealings with the mother, don't throw the mom under the bus in front of the kids. Don't use the kids as to talk to throw the mom under the bus just because y'all not getting along. Because the kid will grow up to be a grown up, and they can express themselves to that parent, whether it be a father or dad. And I have good relationships with both of the moms, because first I didn't throw them under the bus, and then two, as a man, I have to understand, it is women. Okay, men and women, we want to be equal, but men are different and women are different. And you gotta learn how to try to definitely communicate with the moms, even when they hollering and screaming. Let them get it out, and then once they get it out, you don't pick up that energy and start hollering and screaming. You let them get it out. Then you talk calmly, and if you do it enough, and you do it long enough, and you stay consistent with your personality and stay calm, they will calm down, and eventually, it might not be how you want it. It can get better, because the kids do become grown ups eventually. And then, like I tell the kids, you're gonna be grown longer than you're gonna be kids. So when the guys are young and they fussing with the mothers and the moms might be turning up. You can't let that make you get out of control. And don't try not to disrespect them. Respect the mothers. Don't throw them under the bus. And as the years go on, they will appreciate all that stuff. And you can kind of build bridges. Don't try to burn that bridge with your mom. That's the big thing. Just try to make sure that relationship with them. You ain't got to be together, but try to make sure that relationship with the mothers is as strong as you can make it. As strong as you can, and don't throw them under the bus in front of the kids. That's not what. Don't throw them under that bus. The kids know, they see, and when they get grown, they can express themselves. But that ain't for you to be spending days and nights, and every time you see them talking about how your mom ain't this and your mom ain't that, or your mom is holding on money, or she ain't. That's between you and her. The kid has nothing to do with that. Leave that out, and then when they get grown, because I had it happen. Once he got grown, he expressed himself. And then the mom called me crying. Talking about he said, and I told you 20 years ago this was going to happen, but that's not my job to do that. But me and her are still cool because I wasn't doing that extra stuff. That's it.
Okay. What about you, Mike?
I'm getting ready to repeat probably what you just heard, but Myron, again, that's my family, was there for me. I got sick one day. My sister drove from Fayetteville, picked my son up and carried him home. So that connection of people around you and friends, that's paramount. And I don't know, maybe you, Warren, and I are the same people, because one thing that I said when I divorced, that I would never say anything to anybody negatively about my son's mom, because I always figured if I was talking about her, I was talking about myself, because I married her and had a child with And I didn't want my son growing up with an image of her being anything but what he decided she was. And so I'll finish this up to say, and I talked with a young man today that he calls me periodically about advice because he just had a child and going through a divorce, and his mom's keeping him from the child or whatever. So it's a problem. What I would tell you, and I think this goes with Warren said, stay focused not on the person that you're separating with, focus totally on the child. Every decision I made in my divorce and separation was not to get back at her. It maybe not made her happy, but I would ask myself, am I focused on her or am I focused on him? If you stay focused on the child, on the best benefit of the child, regardless of who gets hurt, whether it's the mother, whether it's the grandmother, whether it's the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, all these other people, sisters and brothers that think they're going to have a relationship with your child, those aren't important. The most important thing is to focus on your child and make sure that you don't focus on her and speak well of his mom and make sure whatever decision you make is at the best benefit of that child that you're trying to raise.
Got you. But definitely the host of the Velvet Room, she'll be on tomorrow. Rhonda said you guys deserve the big piece of chicken. You earned it.
I need that leg quarter. Get that leg quarter.
For myself, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Myron, for coming on and sharing your stories. And I wanted to do this because the cliche is always, the moms always have the children. And it's time to shed some light on the brothers that stepped up. And I don't know if y'all saw the promo earlier. I dropped Flex 1-on-1, the TV show that came on UPN. That was part of the promo, how he was raising his daughter. So big ups to y'all.
Hey, Rod, let me say one thing.
Go ahead.
The other thing too is, tell these young guys to focus on they have the same rights as the woman. The guys will let it go and let the woman have the rights, but again, realize that you have the same right. If you haven't done anything, abandonment, abuse, or infidelity, you have the same rights as to spend that time with that child. And don't argue with her, don't fuss with her, don't fuss with the woman about it. I mean, my son's mother threatened me only once, and say, I'm going to do this. I said, well, go ahead and do it. Because I was not going to talk with her about it. I was going to talk to my lawyer, let my lawyer talk to her lawyer, and we was going to get it straightened out that way, because fighting in front of the kids won't hurt. Stay focused on your kids and realize you have the same rights, and don't give them up unless you want to.
So that is definitely a great point, because a lot of people, don't understand. Like you just said, you have the same rights when you're speaking of the judicial system, but you went and got joint custody. They don't understand that. You have the same rights. This is it takes two to tangle, as my grandmother used to say. It takes two to tangle. So, you're not going to be able to make decisions, without my judgment as well. So you went and got the joint custody, which is great, as always. But I definitely want to big you guys up for stepping up, taking care of your sons and daughters, and not, putting another statistic with our culture being a 0 or part-time. You guys became full-time. And that's great. Big ups to you, Myron, for your daughter get ready to graduate, college in a couple months. Mike, getting your son to the NFL. Warren, you and your son, working together, having great times. Just big ups to you guys for definitely being in your son's and daughter's life. I give y'all a big salute. And fathers are needed, man. No way you look around it. Fathers are needed as much as like to quote Chris Rock said, and Bring the Pain, there's a song, Dear Mama, 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 Mama. What's the daddy song? Papa was a Rolling Stone. But y'all reversed the curse on this one. Y'all actually was there. You bigged it up. Definitely, I salute you guys. I wish I would have told Ava to tell y'all bring y'all kids on so we could see, but it's kind of too late in the day for it. But thank y'all for coming on and hanging out with me and hanging out with the Amsterdam crew for this evening. Thank y'all.
Sure.